Okay, so Asha Mataji, I hope you're there. You might be. Okay. Right. Okay. So before we start, if we can I'll just read the Mangalacharan prayers, and we'll just do Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. We'll just do invocation for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then we'll go into chapter 11, which we were reading, which is the service to the Lord of
Hare
Chaitanya
Krishna.
Charitamrita, or teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So the pattern is Kirtan and Mangala, little Kirtan and then Mangalacharan prayers.
Okay. Kirtan. Okay, so because we're doing Chaitanya Charitamrita, let's do a nice bhajan for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We'll just do. Let me just switch my light on. Sorry. Okay. So I'll just do a short kirtan to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jayo Jayo Shri. So I'll just do. Okay. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Tum Bin Ke Dayalu Jagat Samsare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Tum Bin Ke Dayalu Jagat Samsare Patit Pavana Hetu Davayavatar Mosamapatita Prabhu Napai Bear Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Tum bin ke dayalu Jagat samsare Mahaprabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Balokana Karo Ami Borodukhi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Tum Bin Ke Dayalu Jagat Samsare Daya Karo Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bali Pai Chaitanya Nitai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Tum bin ke dayalu Jagat samsare Ha swarupa sana tana Rupa Raghunath Bhatt Juga Shri Jiva Ha Prabhu Lokanath श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे, तुम बीन के दयालु जगत संसारे। दया करो श्री आचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास, रामचंद्र संग मांगे नर तुम दास। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे, तुम बीन के दयालु जगत संसारे। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे, तुम बीन के दयालु जगत संसारे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा, श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा, श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा, श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं, श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहग्ना रघुनाथात्तं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहग्ना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते, गोपिशा गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमस्तुते। तप्त कंचन गौरंगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी, वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरोभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम रामा हरे हरे. Okay, Hare Krishna, everybody. So on Mondays we do the Chaitanya, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So last week we was on chapter 11, and we had a really good discussion about this. So we was talking about service to the Lord, and we read. So I'll just do a quick recap before we move further. We read a few texts, and then we discussed them. So that's the format. So what we'll do, we allocate everybody to about 4 or 5 different paragraphs, and then everybody reads, and then we discuss at the end, and then we do question and answer. So we spoke that this is a discussion between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatan Goswami, who Lord Chaitanya explains to Sanatan Goswami that the only process in which we can actually approach Krishna is through devotional service, and this is actually the only way. It's only through devotional service. So we spoke about the 9 processes of devotional service to the Lord, and it's for us to actually inquire about who is Krishna, because we want to reconnect and rebuild our relationship with him, and that maybe so many literatures that are out there, so many demigods that can be worshipped, so many, people even worship people now, but actually most times if we're worshipping the demigods, unless because Krishna does say in Bhagavad Gita, if you do approach a demigod in the mood of bhakti, he still gives us the intelligence to worship with bhakti, but we're still worshipping Krishna. But mostly the object of worship, the object of devotion, the object of love is only for Krishna, because we only want to love Krishna, and that's it. That's our, we're all human beings, not just human beings, but living entities. The main objective we're looking for is either love from others or love from or giving love. We want to serve with love, and ultimately that's what, as a living entity, we expect. Like, we always know when someone fully loves us, or we know when someone half-heartedly loves us. And in the same way, Lord is a person, and therefore our worship is only for him and to him, and he is the only object of worship. So there is no other. It's him. He's the object of worship. Everything else, um and we may say, why do we worship Lord? Why Krishna? Like, someone could ask that question. But actually, when we worship Krishna, it's we that benefit from that, as much as he wants our love and he's waiting for us to return back. It's actually we that benefit, because it's the one thing that Krishna can't experience. Therefore, he came down as Lord Chaitanya to experience what it feels like to be his devotee, because that's something he also can't experience. But also, when we love Krishna, when we do something for Krishna, so we go to the temple, we sing, we chant, we do deity worship, or we read about him, we understand about him, then actually the pleasure is, we are getting the pleasure. So in loving Krishna, it's us that is being full. So imagine, those eternal associates with him that are always with him, they're always experiencing love. Everyone in the spiritual world is always experiencing love. And then in this material world, when we connect with Krishna, when we follow the devotional practice, that's the only time we really experience. And Krishna is the only person we can love. Like sometimes, there's different phase, there's different um grades of love even in the material world. Like we might, we have a different grade of love for our children, our parents, our grandparents, our brothers, our sisters, our children. But ultimately, if we go deep, deep down, it's only Krishna that we can love. And it's only that Krishna that really, really, really loves us, because he's the only person that comes with us life after life. And he's only our object of worship. There is nothing more amazing than loving Krishna, because he reciprocates with us in full and he knows us in full. He knows us like no other knows us. He knows us more than we know ourselves. And therefore, and he's giving us everything also, even in this material world. He's giving us everything that we need. He's never kept us short of anything. If you Anybody thinks back, he's never ever kept us short of anything. He's always giving us, he's always giving us, he's always giving us. And therefore, he should be the only object of our worship. And he's the absolute truth. We spoke about Swarupa Shakti and Atma Shakti last week. And obviously, we spoke about his in previous chapters. We've spoken about his different forms and his different manifestations. Um, we spoke about the fact that there's two classes of people. There's the eternally liberated and the eternally conditioned. So we spoke about the fact that 3/4 of all jivas are in the spiritual world. I beg your pardon. They've made it back. They're enjoying in the spiritual world with Krishna, and then the 1/4, the rebellious souls, are still here in the material world, still unfortunately trying to lord it over material nature. And unfortunately, the fact that we have the material body itself is an indication that we didn't make it back into the spiritual world, and therefore we should focus on our devotion to Krishna. At least, in this life, Srila Prabhupada always said that just give one life to Krishna and, just see where that takes you. But um, Srila Prabhupada also said, he's got the key to the back door. We're all wanting to go back to the spiritual world. This place is not for us. Like a hotel, we come in, you go to a hotel, you don't go there with the intention to stay there. But unfortunately, we have like spiritual amnesia, and we have forgotten our spiritual identity. And that we come from a different place. This isn't our home, and we need to keep connecting with Krishna and surrendering to him, and therefore we can cross the material. We can continue. We can especially the three modes of nature. We can bypass them, and at least even within this body, we can attain a transcendental position, where we are like these saints and sages we hear about, who are experiencing Krishna Lila even sitting here. They're able to access the spiritual skies, um, and they're able to bring down what's going on. The Leelas are always happening, they're all there. We just need to be able to tune into it like a radio station, so that we're able to understand the place that we want to go to, and the qualities that we need to develop to go there. And just the simple process of loving. I mean, it's so easy for the heart to love. It's so difficult to hate somebody, even though that seems like sometimes the norm. It's so easy to love. It's just the easiest thing we have to do. It's the most simplest thing, and it sometimes becomes the hardest. But also alongside that, it's about developing the Krishna conscious attitude and the character that goes alongside it. And we do that through devotional service, and we do it for Krishna's pleasure, um, because in his pleasure lies our pleasure as well. Not that we do it for our pleasure, but when we see Krishna happy, naturally we will just feel that joy also. um, and we spoke about the different elements, the mind, intelligence, and the ego. So essentially, we have the body, we have the senses, the body, and more subtler than that is the mind, and more subtler than the mind is intelligence, and over the intelligence, we have the false ego, and then we have the real ego. So the body is made up of the panch tattva. The mind is more subtle. It's what, once the senses see something, the mind naturally is attached to it and attracted to it. And then it's for our intelligence. If our intelligence is strong, we'll be able to discriminate against what is right, what is wrong. So for example, if we want a piece of cake and we know that's not really good for us because it's gonna, it's got sugar in it, whatever. Um, Obviously our taste buds are gonna want it, but are we going to go and have it? Or are we going to think, is our intelligence going to come in and say, well, you know what, let's just have a piece of fruit or just do something a bit sensible? So the intelligence has the ability to discriminate, whereas the mind, it will run after the senses. It's more based on thinking, feeling, willing, and the emotions are more strong in that part. And then you have the mind, the intelligence, and above the intelligence is actually our false ego. It's our identity, that we identify as a father, as a brother, as a sister, as a mother, as a teacher, as a daughter, as a computer person, as a, an office worker, whatever, as a whatever we identify ourselves with in the labels that this world has given us, that has given the body. They actually are false ego. And then once we bypass that and things like likes and dislikes, we come to a stage of actually identifying ourselves with our real ego. So once we kind of able to control all those things, we're able to come to a place where we actually understand that we're not all these labels, and it's something that we can, not quite achieving the Brahman, but in a way you're kind of coming to a level where you understand that everything's equal. But it's also about understanding that I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm not this intelligence, but I am a servant of Krishna. And we notice that, like, everyone will have a different experience of how they experience it. But I think the main way is that we understand that is because, um like our body, it needs food, our mind needs something to keep it occupied, our intelligence needs something to engage with. In the same way, our soul, it can never be satisfied without union with the super soul. It just, there is no satisfaction. So you see all these, millionaires or people that have ample wealth, they have, relationships, or things um that a lot of people don't have access to, but they're very unhappy. They realize that at some point that's not the part of life, and we waste our life actually essentially chasing after the carrot. um and essentially, if we don't understand that it's only Krishna that can give us happiness, then we're in a place where we're just lost. And we're very fortunate to come into these teachings, because actually the soul needs Krishna. We all know, we all have experience of when we're chanting um, or whatever, when we engage in service, and when we're with good association, that is, that's positive and it's good and it's uplifting for us. um, and it's beneficial and it's encouraging and it's enthusiastic, and when everyone is engaged in Krishna consciousness, everything just works out. It's because Krishna is in the center, and everything is working around Krishna. It's not working around any one person or any one person's thoughts or ideas, or it's the fact that Krishna is in the center and we're all serving that Krishna. And therefore there's generally love between the people. There's, communities are built on this. If especially in India and stuff, you have like temples, villages are built around this, with the simple notion of we all doing this for Krishna. We're not doing it for any other reason apart from for Krishna. It's to make him happy. So if we're cooking, it's to please him. If we're working, it's to please him. If we're going shopping, it's to please him. Whatever action we're doing, Where we're looking after our families, it's for him. We do it with that mood, and then everything is okay, because we're not attached to it. There's a level of detachment that comes with that, because everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, as a servant of Krishna, we're just looking after what is already there and what already belongs to Krishna. And we also belong to Krishna. It's just that we should, we should try and serve him, but we also belong to him, and he will reciprocate through to us as well. We spoke about um anger slightly, um and ultimately we just have to take shelter of Krishna, open our heart, um in a clear, in a clear way, and he's always there for us. He will support us even with those, pangs of anger and lust. And as we surrender to him, he will naturally remove those things. Eventually it will go, it becomes easier, because we're getting a higher taste for something. Because like when we were children, we had a toy, and that toy became another, then it became something else, then we wanted relationships, then we wanted education, then we wanted to marriage, all the things that we wanted. What happens is that our it's not that the toys, some people still don't come out of that mood of toys, and that's why they build like big businesses, and because they're still playing to a certain degree, they still want their cars and their toys and whatever. But as we refine our taste, as we want something a bit more deeper, so deeper than just having the basic needs met, like the toys to play with, or the water, the shelter. After that, we're looking for education, we're looking for relationships. Deeper than that, we're looking for some sort of community. Deeper than that, we're looking for enlightenment, etc. So we're looking for something that's more and more refined. So desires don't go, but we should, if we just turn them to Krishna consciousness desires, um that really helps us. And then once we have the higher taste, then the lower taste naturally, like the toys, we don't really want to play with any little toys anymore. In the same way, the smaller desires will go, and our engagement will be in something that's higher, and that gives us much, that can actually give us pleasure. um we spoke about Narad Muni and Vyasadeva, like the fact that Vyasadeva was really, he was a little bit depressed even after compiling so many of his books and scriptures. And Narad Muni, who is a spiritual master and who we connect with as soon as we enter Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, or he's there, he's a spiritual master for every, he Parikshit Maharaj, Prahlad, Dhruv, he's always there, he's always supporting. And because he has that devotion, and we're in that parampara leading up to, going from from Lord Krishna to Lord Brahma to Narad Muni, we naturally, he's a part of, as soon as we read Bhagavatam, he's there in the pages, and we're able to benefit from his bhakti because we're connecting with him as well. So he, as the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, he said it's because you haven't described Krishna, and of course the knowledge that actually is transcendental loving service that actually pleases the Lord. Um, then we spoke about the fact that it's only, again, the fact it's only devotional service that can lead us into the path of self-realization. Um, and if that person gives up that path, it's just troublesome. Like, we all know what it's like to do a little bit of yoga. It's absolutely difficult. Just even like just focus, closing your eyes and focusing on your heart center, even that's really difficult. But when we do bhakti, everything naturally happens because our propensities all get taken care of. We're all engaged in a way which is conducive to us, and therefore um, the process of bhakti leads us further and further into the devotion, into that love for Krishna. So we spoke about that. Now we're going to move on. We spoke a little bit about material energy, and the fact that it is so strong. Srila Prabhupada said that material nature is so strong, and he always used to pray, "Don't let Maya get to me." Um, and it's when that we forget we're a servant of Krishna, we get entangled in material nature, and that becomes difficult because once a person is in that shackle, it's very hard for them to come out. I mean, because it just takes hold of you. So it's really important that we come together, we're constantly in, because we can power each other up so that we don't, because material nature will be around us all the time. It's always getting us. So the more association we have with devotees, the more we engage, the more we surrender, we're able to just come away from these clutches of Maya. I think the example I use, like specifically, like if I don't chant, then I know that if I walk past shops, I'm going to be attracted to this clothes, that I want to buy this, but that. But when I chant, I'm not attracted to any of it. It just goes, because the material energy then becomes less and less and less. Okay, so we kind of left off there last time. So if we go in alphabetical order, so Asha Mataji, then Prabhavati, no, Amog Prabhu first, then Asha Mataji, then Prabhavati Mataji, then Saurav Prabhu, and then Usha Mataji. If we can read 4 paragraphs each, that would be great. So where are we? Here. So if we can, we're up to, we're going to talk about Vanashram now.
Hare Krishna.
Amol, probably if you could read the first 4 paragraphs, I'd be really grateful. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. There are 4 social divisions of human society. The Brahmanas are intellectuals, the Kshatriyas are administrators, the Vaishyas are businessmen and farmers, and the Sudras are laborers. There are also 4 spiritual orders or ashramas. The Brahmacharis are students, the Grihasthas are householders, the Vanaprasthas are retired persons, and the Sannyasis are those in renounced life. Regardless of one's social or spiritual position, however, who is lacking in devotional service or Krishna consciousness cannot be released from material bondage. Even if he executes his prescribed duty, on the contrary, he will glide down to hell due to material consciousness. Therefore, whoever is engaged in his occupational or spiritual duty must simultaneously cultivate Krishna consciousness in devotional service if he wants liberation from the material clutches. In this regard, Lord Chaitanya recited 2 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.2 and 3 that were spoken by Narada Muni to indicate the path of Bhagavata cultivation. Narada pointed out that the 4 social divisions of human society, as well as the 4 orders of life, are born from the gigantic universal form of the Lord, the Virata Purusha. The Brahmanas are born from the mouth of the universal form, the Kshatriyas are born from the arms, the Vaishyas from the waist, and the Sudras from the legs. As such, the members of all these social orders are qualified in different modes of material nature within the form of the Virata Purusha. But if a person is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, he fails from his position. He falls from his position, regardless of whether he executes his prescribed occupational duty or not. Lord Chaitanya further pointed out that although those who belong to Mayavada belong to Mayavada or impersonalist school consider themselves to be one with God or liberated. They are not actually liberated, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 10 to 32. Enya Arvindaksha Vimukta Maninaha Tvayasthabhavad Avishuddha Buddhayaha Aruhya Kuruchreda Param Padam Tataha Patanti Adaha Anadruta Yushmadangrayaha. Those who think that they are liberated according to Mayavada philosophy, but who do not take to devotional service of the Lord, fall down for want of devotional service. Even after they undergo the severe types of penances and austerities, and even after they sometimes approach the supreme position.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Beautifully
Thank
read.
you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Asha Mataji?
It is from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Mataji.
Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay, then I opened the mobile version.
Yeah.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that Krishna is just like the sun and that Maya, the illusory material energy, is just like darkness. Therefore, one who is constantly in the sunshine of Krishna cannot possibly be diluted by the darkness of the material energy. This is very clearly confirmed in the last of the four principal verses of Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.34, as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.5.30, which states the illusory energy of Maya is ashamed to stand before the Lord. Nonetheless, the living entities are constantly being bewildered by this very same illusory energy. In his conditioned state, the living entity discovers many forms of the word jocularity to get apparent liberation from the clutches of Maya. But if he sincerely surrendered unto Krishna by simply once saying, "My dear Lord Krishna, from this day I am yours," he at once gets out of the clutches of the material energy. This is confirmed in the Ramayana, Yuttaganda 18.33, wherein the Lord says, I don't know how to Mother.
Sakrit
Yes, please.
Eva prapanayastavaस्मिति च याचते अभयं सर्वदा तस्मै ददामि एतद्व्रतं मम.
Thank you. It is my duty and vow to give all protection to one who surrenders unto me without reservation. One may develop the desire to enjoy fruitive activities, liberation, jnana, or the perfection of the yoga system. But if one becomes very intelligent, he will give up all these paths and engage himself in sincere devotional service to the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10 confirms that an intelligent person, whether free of desires or full of desires for material enjoyment or desirous of liberation, should engage in intense devotional service. Those who are ambitious to derive material benefit from devotional service are not pure devotees, but because they are engaged in devotional service, they are considered fortunate. They do not know that the result of devotional service is not material benediction, but because they engage in devotional service of the Supreme Lord, they ultimately come to understand that material enjoyment is not its goal. Krishna says that persons who want some material benefit in exchange for devotional service are certainly foolish because they want something that is poisonous for them. Yet, although a person may desire material benefits from Krishna, the Lord, being all powerful, considers the person's position and gradually liberates him from a materially ambitious life and engages him in more devotional service. When one is actually engaged in devotional service, he forgets his material ambition and desires. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.19.27.
सत्यं दिष्टति अर्थिताम् अर्थितो नृणं नैवर्थादो यत् पुनरर्थिता यतः स्वयं विद्धते भजातम् अनिचतम् इच्छापिदानं पल्लवम्.
Lord, Lord Krishna certainly fulfills the desires of his devotees who come to him in devotional service, but he does not fulfill desires that would again cause miseries. In spite of being materially ambitious, such devotees, by rendering transcendental service to the Lord, are gradually purified of desires for material enjoyment and come to desire the pleasure of devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Asha Mataji. And Prabhavati Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Generally, people come into the association of devotees to mitigate some material wants, but the influence of a pure devotee frees a man from all material desires by enabling him to relish the taste of devotional service. Devotional service is so nice and pure that it purifies the devotee and he forgets all material ambitions as soon as he engages fully in the transcendental loving service of Krishna. A practical example of Dhruva Maharaj, who wanted something material from Krishna and therefore engaged in devotional service. When the Lord appeared before Dhruva as four-handed Vishnu, Dhruva told him, "My dear Lord, because I engaged in your devotional service with great austerity and penance, I am now seeing you, whom even great demigods and sages have difficulty seeing. Now I am pleased and all my desires are satisfied. I do not want anything else. I was searching for some broken glass, but instead I have found a great and valuable gem." Thus Dhruva Maharaj expressed his full satisfaction and refused to ask anything from the Lord. The living entity transmigrating through 8.4 million species of life is sometimes linked to a log gliding downstream on the waves of a river. Sometimes, by chance, a log washes up on shore and is thus saved from being forced to drift further downstream. In this regard, there is a nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.38.5 that encourages every conditioned soul. No one should be depressed by thinking he will never be out of the clutches of matter, for there is the possibility of being rescued, exactly as it is possible for a long floating down a river to come to rest on the bank. This fortunate opportunity was also discussed by Lord Chaitanya. Such fortunate incidences are considered the beginning of the decline of one's conditioned life, and they occur if one associates with the pure devotees of the Lord. By associating with the pure devotees, one develops attraction for Krishna. It's echoing, Mataji.
Yeah, let me just. Okay, can I just request everybody just mutes? I think everybody is muting.
Sorry, Satyamati. By associating with the pure devotees, one develops attraction for Krishna. There are various types of rituals and activities, some of which lead to material employment and others to material liberation. But if a living entity takes to those ritualistic activities by which pure devotional service to the Lord is developed in the association of pure devotees, then his mind naturally becomes attracted to devotional service. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10:51-53, Muchukunda states, भवपावर्गो ब्रह्मतो यदा भवेच् janasya tarhi achyuta tat samagamaha satsangamo yarhi tadaiva sadgatau paravareshe tvai jayate matihi. My dear
Beautiful.
Lord, being traveling in the material world through different species of life, a living entity may progress towards liberation, but only when he gets the chance to come in contact with a pure devotee can he actually be liberated from the clutches of material energy and becomes a devotee of you, the personality of Godhead. When a conditioned soul becomes a devotee of Krishna, the Lord, by his causeless mercy, trains him in two ways. He trains him from without as the spiritual master, and he trains him from within as his super soul. In this connection, there is a very nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29-6, in which Uddhava says to Lord Krishna, my dear Lord, even if someone lives as long as Brahma, he would still be unable to express his gratitude to you for the benefits derived from remembering you. Out of your causeless mercy, you drive away all inauspicious conditions for your devotee, expressing yourself from outside as the spiritual master and from inside as the super soul. If one somehow or other gets in touch with a pure devotee and thus develop a desire to render devotional service to Krishna, he gradually rises to the platform of love of Godhead and is thus freed from the clutches of the material energy. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.8, where the Lord says, for one who, out of his own accord, becomes attracted to topics of my activities, being neither allured nor repelled by material activities, following the path of devotional service leading to the perfection of love of God becomes possible. However, it is not possible to achieve the stage of perfection without being favored by a pure devotee or a Mahatma, a great soul. Oh, sorry, Mataji, I think.
Oh, has that changed? Sorry.
I think, yeah, the whole screen is gone, Mataji.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Oh, sorry. There we go. Have you got it?
Yes, Mataji, yes. So for one who, out of his own accord, becomes attracted to topics of my activities, being neither allured nor repelled by material activities, following the path of devotional service, leading to the perfection of love of God becomes possible. However, it is not possible to achieve the stage of perfection without being favored by a pure devotee or a Mahatma, a great soul. Without the mercy of a great soul, one cannot even be liberated from the material clutches, and what to speak of rising to the platform of a love of Godhead. This also is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.12.12 in a conversation between Jadabharata and King Rahugana, ruler of the Sindhu and Savira provinces. When King Rahugana expressed surprise upon seeing Bharata's spiritual achievements, Bharata replied,
Okay, Mataji, can we pass on to Saurav Prabhu, please?
yes, yes, Mataji, thank you.
Thank you. Saurav Prabhu, if you could do the... There. I see there. Sorry. Saurav Prabhu, can you see it? We can't hear you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Okay.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Can you
Can
hear?
you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Um, um, I was just wondering if Ramlala Prabhu is here. If you're going alphabetically, would you like to read?
Who's there? Sorry, is
Ramlala Prabhu.
oh sorry, yeah. Okay, that's yes. Hare Krishna Ramlala Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Yes, Shara Prabhu, maybe start from the Sanskrit part. Yeah, then
Yes, please. The Rahu Ganaita Tapasa Nayati.
Okay. If you don't mind, can I ask what kind of meter you're reading this at? Can you read one, please?
Oh, I wouldn't. I just read. I don't have no meter knowledge.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're expert, please do it your
No,
way.
I'm not.
No, I'm not. I just read anyhow. Sorry, I'm not that. Only yeah, I'm not. So Ramlala Prabhu.
no, I don't have any idea. I don't know this thing because I like to hear who are the perfect translation, or how many rhythm, how they are doing the different to different one to another.
Okay, so I think Amol Prabhu, would you be kind enough to do this verse?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I don't know the meter, but I just do that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Rahu Ganaitat Tapasa Nayati न चेज्झया निर्वापनात् गृहाद्वा न छन्दसा नैव जलाग्निः सूर्यैः विना महत् पादरजोऽभिषेकम्.
So, Ramlala Prabhu, can you please read
Hare
the
Krishna.
English?
Thank you, Amol Prabhu.
Thank you, Amol.
Yes. My dear my dear Rahugana, no one can attain the perfect stage of devotional service without being favored by a great soul, a pure devotee. No one can attain the perfection stage simply by following the regulative principle of scriptures, or by accepting the renounced order of life, or by prosecuting the prescribed duties of householder life, or by becoming a great student of spiritual science, or by accepting the severe austerity and penance for realization. Similarly, when the atheist Hiranyakashipu asked his son Prahlad Maharaj how he had attained such a devotional attitude, the boy replied, as long as one is not favored by the dust of the feet of pure devotees, one can't even touch the path of devotional service without the solution of all the problems of material lives. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.532. Will I continue?
Yes, please, Prabhu.
Okay. Thus Lord Chaitanya told Sanatan Goswami that all scripture states association with pure devotees of the Lord. The opportunity to associate with a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord is the beginning of one's complete perfection. This is confirmed by Srimad Bhagavatam 1:18-13, where it is asked that the facilities and benedictions one achieved by associating with a pure devotee are incomparable. They cannot be compared to anything, neither elevation to the heavenly kingdom nor liberation from the material energy. Lord Krishna also confirms this is the most confidential instruction in the Bhagavad Gita 18:64-65, where he tells Arjuna, now, yeah, Sarva Sarvagujatam bhuyam शृणु मे परमं वच स्तोषि मे धा धा धर्म इति तत व्यक्तमिते hitam. Sorry for my pronunciation.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Manmana bhava madbhakta madjajimam namaskra mameva se sattam te pratijana priyasi me. My dear Arjuna, you are my affectionate friend and relative, and therefore I am impart, imparted imparting to you this most confidential knowledge for your benefit. Just become always mindful of me, become my constant devotee, become my constant worshipper, and become a soul surrendered to me. Only in this way will you be sure to achieve my award, because you are my very dear friend. I hereby disclose to you this most confidential knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Ramlala Prabhu. It's always a pleasure to hear from you.
Yeah.
Saurav Prabhu, can you please carry on?
So Prabhu, still you are mute.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
From such a direct instruction.
Yeah, just from there. Yeah, such a direct instruction.
Such a direct instruction from Krishna is more important than any Vedic injunction or regulative service. There are certainly many Vedic injunctions, ritualistic and sacrificial performances, regulative duties, meditative techniques, and speculative processes for attaining knowledge. But Krishna's direct order, just give up everything else and become my devotee, my worshipper, should be taken as the final order of the Lord and should be followed. If one is simply convinced of this direct order of the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita, becomes attached to his devotional service, and gives up all other engagements, one will undoubtedly attain success. To confirm this statement in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says that one should follow other paths of self-realization only as long as one is not convinced of his direct order to become his devotee. It is the conclusion of the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita that the direct order of the Lord is to give up everything and engage in devotional service. Firm conviction that one should execute the order of the Lord is known as faith. One who has faith is firmly convinced that simply by rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, all other activities are automatically performed, including ritualistic duties, sacrifices, yoga, and the speculative pursuit of knowledge. In fact, devotional service to the Lord includes everything. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yathatarur Mulan Nishechanena Kripyanti Tat Skanda Bhujopakshaha Pranopaharacha Yathendriyanam Tathaiva Savarhanam Achyuteja. By watering the root of a tree, one automatically nourishes the branches, twigs, leaves, and fruits, and by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses. Similarly, by rendering devotional service to Krishna, one automatically satisfies the requirements for all other forms of worship and all other spiritual processes. One who is faithful and firmly convinced of this is eligible to be elevated as a pure devotee. There are three classes of devotees according to the degree of conviction. The first class devotee is conversant with all kinds of Vedic literature and at the same time has the firm conviction mentioned above. He can deliver all others from the pangs of material miseries. The second class devotee is firmly convinced and has strong faith, but he has no power to cite evidence from the revealed scriptures. Third class devotee is one who has and whose faith is not very strong, but by the gradual cultivation of devotional service, he can be promoted to second or first class position. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that the first class devotee always sees the Supreme Lord as the soul of all living entities. Thus, in seeing all living entities, he sees Krishna and nothing but Krishna. The second class devotee places his full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, makes friends and with pure devotees, shows favor to innocent persons, and avoids those who are atheistic or against devotional service. The third class devotee engages in devotional service according to the directions of the spiritual master, or engages out of family tradition and worships the deity of the Lord, but he has not cultivated knowledge of devotional service, and he does not know a devotee from a non-devotee. Such a third class devotee cannot actually be considered a pure devotee. He is almost in the devotional line, but his position is not very secure. One can thus conclude that when a person shows love for God and friendship for devotees, displays mercy towards the innocent, and is reluctant to associate with non-devotees, he may be considered a pure devotee. By developing devotional service, such a person can perceive that every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme. In each and every living entity, he can see the Supreme Person, and therefore he becomes highly developed in Krishna consciousness. At this stage, he does not distinguish between the devotee and the non-devotees, for he sees that everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. Such a pure devotee continues to develop all great qualities while engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service. Should I continue?
Yes, please, Prabhu, if you can just finish it off.
We have got
Yes,
Usha Mataji as well.
What, Usha Mataji is there?
Yeah.
Sorry, Usha Mataji, I didn't. You must have snuck in. I can't. What it is, when I have them one screen up, I can't have like double screen. Saurav Prabhu, thank you so much for reading. That was very powerful and very
Hare Krishna.
devotional. It was very, very powerful reading. Usha Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, would you just be kind enough to read the last Sanskrit verse and the translation, please?
I'll try Sanskrit, yes, okay. यस्यस्ति भक्तिर्भगवती यकिञ्चन सर्वैः गुणैस्तत्र संसते सुरः हरवे अपत्याकुतो महद्गुण मनोरथैस्ते धवतो बहिः. One who attains pure unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Lord develops all the good qualities of the demigod, whereas a person who attains such service due to go astray despite all qualifications, for he was in the mental platform. Thus, his material qualifications are valueless. Hare Krishna, sorry, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for reading all these wonderful verses and paragraphs. So let's go. So there's quite a lot being obviously conveyed in this chapter, even though it's again devotional service. There's also descriptions of different areas. So we first came across the 4 divisions of human society. So the Varna ashram system, so obviously we all know them as the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, and then the spiritual orders, the ashrams, are the brahmacharis, grahastas, householders, and sannyasis. So regardless of, as Lord is saying, it doesn't matter which position we are in. We could be in any one of them. If we have Krishna consciousness in any of them, we're okay. But if we're not in service of Krishna, or we lack Krishna consciousness, then we're going to get bound by any one of these ashrams. So even if you're a student and you're not Krishna conscious, you can still get attached to that. Even if you're a grahasta and you're not Krishna conscious, you can get attached to that. So whichever, as long as we're following Krishna consciousness despite the varna and the ashram we are in, we're okay. So that it's basically saying that Krishna consciousness is above and beyond everything. It doesn't really even matter what varna or ashram we are. We can change ashrams, we can change varnas, we can be at different stages, but ultimately we have to rise above both varna and ashram also, so that we don't fall down. If we just continue in those ashrams without Krishna consciousness, then we will fall down. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clearly says here, that therefore whoever is engaged in occupational or spiritual duty must simultaneously cultivate Krishna consciousness in devotional service if he wants liberation from the material clutches. So obviously we've often heard of this analogy that it's like a car with two wheels. We have to balance both, and we have to simultaneously, otherwise the car breaks down and doesn't work. We have to have both both things going on alongside. And then eventually, as we grow further, there will hopefully be a time when it's just spiritual activity that we're engrossed in, and we can really, we hear so much in Srimad Bhagavatam of all these personalities retiring into the forests, and maybe that might not be practical in this day and age, but we can certainly be in a conducive environment where Krishna consciousness is all around us, and we engage ourselves and associate ourselves in with devotees, so that we can keep cultivating Krishna consciousness and keep developing and growing and deepening our love. The thing with love is it doesn't cease, it doesn't stop. It's not like, it's like a goal, like you get your degree and that's it. That you get married and your next goal, and you have a children or you have a house. It's not a goal like that. It's with love, it's just something that continues. It never gets old, it never gets boring, it's always new. It's like when you see Krishna on the altar, he always looks new. Like you see him and you think, him and Radharani, they ever get any better looking than you see them on that particular day, and then the next day they look even better and better. And devotional life is like that. It's very variegated, and it continuously keeps increasing in its spectacle and in its beauty and its vastness. It's constant. It's always happening, it's always new, it's always fresh, and we never get bored of it, like we would in the material world. Like there's only certain times we can do certain things, and we're absolutely literally flaked by them all. But a spiritual life is not like that. It doesn't matter how many times we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, it will always be new, fresh, and we will want to always do it. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, obviously we've heard of this analogy that that it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, that the body of the Lord is represented by the varnas, where the Brahminical is the head of the Lord, the Brahmanas are the head, they're born from the main part of the head, the mouth. The Kshatris are born from the arms, the Vaishyas from the waist, the Shudras from the legs. And if a person is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, he falls from his position, regardless of whether he executes his prescribed occupational duty or not. So our main duty actually is to serve Krishna. We're part and parcel of him. So even if we were doing any one of these things, we are part and parcel of him. So Srila Prabhupada expects us all to be part of the Brahminical culture. So we must teach and preach and speak Krishna consciousness to the unfortunately, I don't want to use the word less intelligent, but the people that are not, their their abilities have been layered with all the material stuff. We have to speak truth as much as we can. We really have to speak truth. That is our dharma. And especially, if you're born in India, especially, that is your dharma. Like, he wanted everybody that's born in India to spread Krishna consciousness, because actually it's the only thing there is. It's the law books, as Srila Prabhupada says, for the next X thousand amounts of 10,000 years. And even if you think about laws, like, practical laws that we have in society: do not murder, do not do this, that, do not thieve, do not steal, whatever. Every law, actually, I mean, most laws come from spiritual law, and this is Krishna's law. And if we abide by Krishna's law, then there is no problem. The problem happens when we don't abide by Krishna's law. If we make a spiritual digression, and believe me, I'm sure I have made a lot, we come off track, and then we go into a situation which we don't really want to. But it's for us to get back on track, and it is by following the laws. If we follow what Krishna says, if we do what Krishna says, if we follow our dharma, we do it properly, or even if eventually we will get liberated from, we will become transcendental to all those different varnas as well. We have to rise above that, because devotional service, if we are part and parcel of the Lord, we know we have to serve him. So we can, in society, we can do that through our actions and our activities, which is so important. So whichever job we're in, so say if we're a road sweeper, or we're a teacher, or we're a police officer, or we're a salesperson, we have to do that in relation to serving Krishna, in that mood. We can't always, one of our prayers in the morning can be things like, look, Krishna, I don't know what I'm doing, but just whatever I'm doing, make that action be pleasurable to you, and let me always act in a way which pleases you. I don't know, sometimes I haven't got the intelligence. If we just surrender it onto him, then naturally we will know, we will feel him the whole day helping us through, and we can just offer our activity to him. Whatever we did, you ask for forgiveness, you say thank you, you show gratitude, because actually even the intellect, the strength, the ability to generate money, the ability to serve, everything actually comes from Krishna. So he's giving us all the energy and the intelligence for it. So therefore, even that he's helping us with. So it's only like a father, if like a son and a father, the son has a sweet, he gives it back, he offers one to his father. And in that same way, we're part of something bigger. If we talk about the Virat Rup, we're part of that. We're not separate from him, we're in connection to him, and we can only, when we come in contact with that him, then we have the power, and we're working for him. Like, it's not our boss we're working for, it's not something that we don't want to work for. It's Krishna is our boss. So whatever we're doing in our daily life, we can just say Krishna is our boss, and it doesn't matter, then it's okay. Like, we act whichever situation where we act according to him, his law, like our behavior changes, and our actions become much more purified, and they work in harmony with everybody else. When we're not in contact, our actions create disharmony, and the cooperation is less. because we kind of disconnect at that moment. Or so when we're connected to Krishna, when we're acting for Krishna, we are in harmony and everything works. It, like the legs, the legs that need the arms, they need the mouth, everything has its place and then it works properly. But so we shouldn't, everything is necessary, everything is needed, and it's Krishna's system. We must follow it. The following part is the most important. If we come off track, we should quickly go back on track, because otherwise we fall down, and then it's easy for Maya to attack us. And then this Mayavadi philosophy, I'm not so sure about that, but all I know is that people think they're God, but that clearly is not possible. We're part of God. We're same with him. We're same as him in quality. We have all his gunas. If we see a guna in the world, it's in Krishna. That's why it's there. That's why we're seeing it. And then obviously we have to work towards the more favorable gunas. But that's not to say that we are the same as him in quantity. And the fact that he shows his virat and his he shows all his, he shows his Narayan form, he shows his two-armed form to Arjuna, the universal form. He shows it because one of the reasons is that everyone's going to say that, everyone's going to claim that they're God. But unless someone can show you the Virat form, only the Lord can do this. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did it in Srivas Angan, he showed his, he showed his Vishnu Swarup. Unless someone can do this, unless someone can actually show you that form, they're not Krishna. They're just that, and therefore this whole thing about all these bogus gurus, it goes because unless someone is leading you to Krishna, that is the only right path. There is no other path. If someone is claiming to be God and doing magical things or whatever they're doing, they have to be able to show the form. That's why one of the reasons why Krishna showed the form to Arjuna is because he knew that in all these ages people will talk all sorts of nonsense. They already know what's going to happen, so he just shows it. He shows his form, and that's him. There's no 2, 3, 4 ways about it. And Krishna is just like the sun. So if we think, those times when we're in Maya, we're in illusion, we might be feeling depressed or a little bit scared or a little bit worried about something. Could be any emotion that, generates a sense of fear. It could be anger. But as soon as we hear Krishna, as soon as that sun comes in the sky, so just, the night might feel scary, but just as soon as the sun appears, everything is gone, everything is fine. And that's exactly what Krishna's like. Maya and Krishna cannot exist together. Where there is Krishna, there is no Maya, because Krishna is, and I think that it was really nice. It was quite amazing that it said that Maya is ashamed to stand in front of the Lord. And it's because Krishna is so pure. When we stand in front of something that's so pure, even though that's she is also him as well, but it's the illusionary. So it's not quite showing, it's not showing that aspect. Like Krishna showing the love, the beauty, the grandeur, the humility, the love, the care, the compassion. And material nature, unfortunately, is working the other way to keep people trapped, unfortunately, until they're ready to go to Krishna. And then she also supports us also. And this is such a beautiful verse. We just have to get out of these clutches of Maya. We simply have to just surrender. We hear, Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj, he's written the Shanagati texts, and it's just the prayers. My dear Krishna, my dear Lord Krishna, from this day I am yours. Imagine we're just saying to him, I am yours. I don't belong to anybody else. I don't belong to my manager. I don't belong to a country. I don't belong to my spouse. I don't belong to my children or my parents or anybody, but I belong to you. And when you belong to him, you belong to everybody. But the fact is that you belong to him. He's got his tag on you. He's got his footprint on you. Like Kalia, yeah. He has his footprint. He has Lord dancing on his head. In that same manner, in that same way, we're just saying we're just yours. The gopis sang this. They just want the Lord. That's it. They can't see anything apart from that. We just want the Lord. And then we just get out. That's it. Once you have the Lord, the rest just falls apart. And even in Ramayan, Lord, I think it's Lord Ram, he says he will give protection to anybody who surrenders to him without reservation. And we can see time and time again, and I'll ask you all in a moment, times when you've surrendered onto the Lord and he has just totally taken over your life and sorted everything out. We just have to get ourself out of the way, our ego, our self, we just, obviously it's there, it's necessary, it needs to be there. We have an identity and we need it to function in the world, but it has to, once we get rid of that for Krishna, then, and we surrender to him, everything is there, and then he works through us, and all amazing things happen when Krishna is in charge. And again, he's speaking about this engagement of devotional service, and Krishna will fulfill all desires also, but he doesn't, think we spoke about this last week, he doesn't fulfill desires that will cause us misery. So we spoke about the fact that, when someone prays to Lord Shiva, he's Ashutosh, he will give you whatever you want. A lot of Lord Shiva devotees are extremely wealthy and rich, and a lot of Durga Devi, her devotees are very rich, very opulent, very beautiful. But Krishna will give what we need, because all those things eventually end in misery, because attachment will be there so much. Like, you have all these things, of course, like Ravana or like Hiranyakashipu, or even people we see now, like their attachments are so strong they cannot give them up. And we can't, attachment is going to cause distress, any type of attachment. I think what Krishna's, action, doing action in renunciation is the kind of best form of action, because you're renounced but you're still acting, and therefore you're still doing, it's selfless, it's just you're doing what you need to do, but you're detached from it. And that is a good stage to be in, because you're not, you could just keep moving forward. The action is there, it's renounced, the action needs to be there, otherwise we'll just become tamasic and we'll just become lazy. So the action, it's not that the action is not there, or in the phase of karma, but even in bhakti it's the same. Like, our action, our bhakti, our love, our devotion has to be there, but with a level of renunciation and a level of detachment, so that we can keep performing, and then our love keeps growing. If we even, they say, if you become too attached to a service or something like that, like if you're a really good kirtan player, they say that you become attached to it, then you lose that, it becomes about something else, not about the devotion then. So action in renunciation if that makes sense, it creates that that continuous love, and that works for anything. And again, talking about Dhruva, he wanted a palace bigger than, he wanted a kingdom bigger than his father's. I mean, he was a child, only 5. I mean, to be rejected by his, stepmother, and, even his father, that's the deep things, even if you think about them, abandonment, rejection, because he was born to another mother. If your father does that to you, I'm sure everyone has some sort of experience of some sort of abandonment or rejection somehow. And it's a very distressing situation. But Narad Muni again comes, and when Dhruv does see the Lord, he says, I was asking for broken glass. I have the whole, we're asking for little things. And we don't realize how big Krishna is, how magnanimous. And once we see Krishna and how beautiful he is, and how loving and how caring he is, then all these problems, these millions and billions of everyday pre-generated problems, they all go away, because the Lord is there. There can't be any other distress. And so obviously the living entity moves towards liberation, moves toward mukti, but only when he gets the chance to come in contact with a pure devotee. So the liberation is kind of naturally happening along the way. But when we come in contact with a pure devotee, someone who just loves Krishna, there's no other alternative motive. They just want to continuously serve the Lord, because that is what the spiritual world is like. There's no end date. There's no, like, retirement age. There's no, it doesn't work like that. We all have like a specific spiritual form, and spiritual life is variegated. So it's not like, we'll just do one. It's very variegated. It's how we want to serve Krishna. And as long as we're serving Krishna, there's just pleasure in that. And devotional service is done with love, devotion, and with joy, because that's how we will feel when we really love somebody, even in like a material way. We just want to do everything for them. And in the same way, this continuous love for Krishna, it grows. And when we come in contact with the devotee who's so pure, it makes it easier for us, because we get the blessing of that devotee, and then we get a little bit free from the clutches of Maya, and slowly we start walking their path. So Narad Muni, he made all these devotees. And now when we come in contact with these people, when we read Bhagavatam, we're reading stories about Krishna's pure devotees, Narad Muni, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the gopis, the Vrajvasis, the Dwarkavasis, the Mathuravasis, any devotees, Uddhav, Arjuna, any devotee we connect with. And then coming obviously into our parampara, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's the Lord himself, Srila Prabhupada, and then whoever our gurus are, whatever Vaishnava Sampradaya. But the key thing is that these pure devotees, they give us so much love. But what they do, because they're so pure, material energy can't act around them. And then instead of following material energy, we start following the pure devotee. And through that, we get closer and closer to Krishna. And we get their blessings. So Krishna appears within as the super soul and as a spiritual master externally. And he speaks to Uddhav about this. Someone lives as long as Brahma, he would still be unable to express his gratitude to you for the benefits derived from remembering you. So this is Uddhav saying, we don't know how many times Krishna saved us. We don't know. We can never, ever estimate what Krishna has done for us. We never know. We don't know what he's doing for us moment by moment by moment, how he's, we just don't know. Out of your causeless mercy, you drive away all inauspicious conditions for your devotees. Everything bad that was going to happen, he will remove it. Any, like when we hear like Sudama didn't even think, Sudama had this giving attitude, even when he was so poor, even when he was going to Krishna. His wife said to him, Sushila, she said to him, go to the king, he's your friend, he'll give you. Even when he said, let me take something for my Krishna, and he still took the rice. He's still in this mood of total giving. And that's how our mood should be, because Lord is always driving away all inauspicious conditions. expressing yourself from outside as a spiritual master. We don't even know what a spiritual master does for us. And from inside a super soul, we just don't know. Every day we get up where life is full of danger. From the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep, even in your sleep, life is full of danger. From the moment we're born to the moment we die, there's so much going on. But Lord is keeping us in. Has he never, has, if you think about it, is there ever a time when he hasn't done something for you, and when he hasn't got you through it? Or he's always getting us through it. He does it every single moment. And obviously this, we have to become in contact with a pure devotee. Coming in contact with Srimad Bhagavatam, we're in contact with Lord, his Leela, his devotees, the author like Srila Prabhupada. We're in contact with all these pure devotees. We have so much mercy that's being showered upon us constantly. And this will all help us to raise ourselves from the platform of material energy and into a more spiritual essence. And eventually we'll just become allured by spiritual life and the material active, because Krishna is all attractive. He's got the power to fully attract us. Maya hasn't got even 1% that power. So that's why we feel so attracted. And the fact that we all go to the temple, or we're all engaged somehow, or we've all come into contact with Krishna consciousness, is because Lord has attracted us. He's the only that has that power. Like, imagine we have like we're in a relationship, we have like a spouse or a whatever relationship, or it's only you can be with that spouse or that person, but Krishna can be with everybody. When you have Krishna, you can give Krishna to everybody. Krishna can be there for everybody. He can attract anything, anyone. He's the all attractive. There's nothing more attractive than Krishna. He's the only person because of whom we've all been put together, because he is the all attractive. He's Madan Mohana. So and yes, these great souls, these Mahatmas, and then obviously this conversation between Jadabharata and King Raghunuga. So Jadabharata, obviously he experienced loads of things. He was King Bharat in his kind of previous life. Then he was a deer. Then he became Jad Bharat. And then after these dacoits tried to kill him and offer him to Mother Kali, Mother Kali came out and she protected Jad Bharat because he was praying to Lord Narayan. And she's obviously, she's also the protector of the devotees as well. And then there's this story about Jadabharat, who speaks about his enlightenment to King Raghunuga. And so this is mentioned here. And it says, "My dear Raghunatha, no one can attain the perfected stage of devotional service without being favored by a great soul." So again, we need this favor of a pure devotee. No one can attain perfectional stage. And actually, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we actually realize that, what, I'm on my own, I'm nothing. And I think those realizations really sink in then, and that we really do need mercy of other devotees, of other pure souls as well. No one can attain perfectional stage simply by following the regulative principles of scriptures, or by accepting the renounced order of life, or by prosecuting the prescribed duties of householder life, or by becoming a great student of spiritual science, or by accepting severe austerities, penances for realization. Similarly, atheist Hiranyakashipu asked his son Prahlad how he had attained such devotional attitude. The boy replied, "As long as one is not favored by the dust of of the feet of the pure devotees, one cannot even touch the path of devotional service, which is the solution to all the problems of material life." There are thousands and thousands of songs that, especially in Vrindavan, let me just get the dust of your lotus feet, because they understand that this dust is the power, the magic. Uddhav says, I just want to be the, the dust in Vrindavan so that the Vrajvasis, the gopis, they will walk on me. When we understand the significance of this, when we understand that it's through following another in the footsteps of another devotee, having the blessings of the lotus feet and accepting the dust, this, it's like magic. It transforms and it completely changes our life, and so that we walk in the devotional path, and then the material path is long left behind, and there are no problems after that. And so this association, obviously we hear about this so many times, the association of devotees is so paramount. And my dear Arjuna, you are my affectionate friend and relative, and that's why he's imparting. So in the same mood that Arjuna has, yesterday we were talking about this with the kids, with the children. We were saying that, just to have this friendly, this is what Krishna wants, a friendly, affectionate friend like Arjuna. Arjuna is so many different relations to him. It's his friend, his cousin, his brother-in-law, his disciple. He has so many relationships with Arjuna. And it's because he's friendly, and it's because he's non-envious. I mean, the Lord, Arjuna in himself, like, he's the greatest warrior. I mean, like, he's got reason to be, a bit puffed up, but he doesn't never act puffed up. He's never like that. And he's got the humility to understand when someone great is before him, and to become great even, we have to understand someone else's greatness. And Arjuna is able to do that. Just always be mindful of me, become my constant devotee, become my constant worshipper, become surrendered to me. Only in this way will you achieve my abode, because you are my dear friend, he's telling him. So in this same way, that's all we have to do. We just have to worship him and love him and surrender to him wholeheartedly. And by doing this, we water the roots of the tree, and everything else in its space is prosperous. And everything, all our requirements will be met. One who's faithful, firmly convicted of this is eligible, is elevated. We have to have faith. Shraddha is so important. Like, sometimes we can go through all these things, and then sometimes when the testing time comes, do we have the Shraddha? Do we have the faith? And that's what we need. We just need the faith. And we have to be firmly convinced that this is the only way. And then it talks about the different divisions of the devotees. We've heard this in Nectar of Instruction. A first-class devotee can speak about any literature, and they're above the material. The second class, they have strong faith, but they have no evidence. They have no power to recite from scripture. And the third class, they're not very strong, but they gradually can be promoted over time. And the first class devotees actually sees the Supreme Lord as in all living entities. So we have to be able to see, do we see Krishna in the grass? Do we see Krishna in the dog? Do we see Krishna in the cow? Do we see Krishna in all the devotees? Do we see Krishna in all the people we absolutely can't stand and who have upset us? Can I see Krishna in can you see Krishna in your enemy? Can you see Krishna in your best friend? Can you see Krishna in your lover? Can you see Krishna in, think about relations, especially the enemy one. Can you see that beyond that somewhere, even though you absolutely can't, like, I know, like, one of my aunties, I can't stand her. But can I go past that, and can I see that there's Krishna is somewhere in there? That's just, the other part is just her, but there is a Krishna sitting in there. The dog is barking, it's crazy, it's mad, it's it's running around, but actually behind that there's still Krishna. Even though the covering is there, and it is because the individual soul is still there also. But can we see that beyond everything, all those layers and layers and layers and layers, is Krishna is sitting there? It's easy with devotees because everyone's talking about Krishna, so it's easy to see that in association of devotees. But can we, when we're really tested, when your manager's really shouting it, like when I feel like killing him sometimes, but somehow I come to the conclusion, I come to the point that he's also got Krishna in him, and he's like stressed out and blah blah blah. So obviously you have empathy and compassion, but can you still see that beyond all of those, that layers of, there is still a Krishna sitting in there? Can you see Krishna sitting in, you have to be able to see Krishna everywhere, and that actually a pure devotee is able to do that. They will be able to. That's why someone like Srila Prabhupada, he can engage, Nityananda Prabhu can engage every single person in Krishna service, because they can see that beyond all of those things, somewhere there is Krishna. And we have to elevate ourselves. We can't be a third class devotee. We have to we are devotees of Krishna. We have to elevate ourselves. Like, it can be humility to think, we remain low and das and udas, and that's what we are. Yes, that's our position. But that doesn't mean that we don't elevate ourselves to a platform which we're actually first class devotees, and yes, we can see Krishna and everything. We still have to elevate ourselves to that level. It's not that through humility or through false humility that we don't do that. We must keep elevating ourselves, and we must follow, there has to be a trajectory. The growth has to happen in Krishna consciousness, and by doing that we develop all the great qualities whilst we're engaged, and our anarthas are obviously slowly reduced. But also, like, if you speak to Vrajvasis, they're ever so sweet, and you actually understand that their lifetimes of devotion are so sweet, and they mature and they mature. It's like churning butter. It gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. The more and more we churn it, it gets sweeter and sweeter, and through lifetimes we're churning, so that sweetness eventually will come out, and then we can serve Krishna in even more beautiful and display, in more wonderful ways. So we develop these good qualities. So such a pure devotee continues to develop all these great qualities, and we must do that also. Yeah. So it's not that it's just for that Srila Prabhupada, or it's just for all these great sages. Equally for us, we have to develop all those qualities, because they should, as we're going on, they should already be developing, and all those other ones should be getting knocked out. And one who attains pure unalloyed devotional service. So unalloyed is unmotivated. We just continue. If we're cooking, like Radharani, she's been cooking for Krishna for eternity. She doesn't get bored. She doesn't, she cooks different preparations. We have to see things new. Everything has to be fresh, new. Everything's, if we live in Vrindavan, roughly the same things are going on, but actually nothing is the same. Even though the actions, the day might be laid out in the same way, every day Leela is going on. And every moment is new. It's just that we're caught up in this material cycle at the moment, and this economic nonsense. But in the spiritual world, it's not like that. Even if you just live in Vrindavan now, everything is new, fresh, and your consciousness is slowly unraveling, and that grows, that love, and it has to be unalloyed devotion for the Lord. And when we develop this love, all the good qualities of the demigods come within us. And whereas a person who doesn't attain any service is sure to go astray. So if we don't focus on devotional service, and we don't do all these things, of course we're going to go the wrong way. There's no doubt about it. Despite whatever material qualifications we have, and then he just hovers on the mental platform, thus his material qualifications are valueless. There's just no once we die, once his body's gone, there is no value to whether we're this. Is none of it's gonna matter. The main thing is that we are Krishna conscious. It's going to live on forever and ever and ever. That even whatever, you know, whether we go to the spiritual world, whether we have to come back here, wherever we have to end up, we always want to be having and knowing the Supreme Lord. That's all we can ever ask for. If we have the Supreme Lord, we have everything. And the moment we choose to go away from him, we really are very, very we're orphans. We need Krishna. We can't survive without him. And what, you know, wherever our soul ends up, we should always have the prayer that it doesn't matter, as long as we have our Krishna and his name and him with us, then we'll be okay. As long as we have remembrance of him, we'll be okay. Because even in this life, we can feel so alone, even in the midst of so many people. But if we have Krishna, like yesterday, someone was speaking to me, and they said they made this one prayer, like, Krishna, you're my everything. I can't, even though I've got everything, I actually don't know who to speak to. I don't know who to tell I don't know. I only know you. And it has to be that depth. That relationship has to be so secure. It has to be so personal. It has to be, you know, it's not just, we also need to share. If we're having problems, share it with Krishna. If we're having good times, share it with Krishna. Krishna is a person. He will hear, and he certainly will reciprocate. Okay, I'm going to end there. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions, comments, queries? Please, I do apologize, and I beg forgiveness if I've made any mistakes. Main one being I've gone over time.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Very, very beautiful session. So you have explained very nicely. And it is very nectarian class. We have been hearing from you. Yeah, it is all pleasing. And yeah, so service to the Lord is very important. So with that way, and also so many references that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu given to Sanatana Goswami, their jeweled ones, so gives and more of the historical and different reasons and examples. Thank you so much, Mataji. So it gives everything perfect with your explanations. So nice, so devotional and blissful. Thank you so much, Mataji.
All your mercy, bro. All your mercy. It's all devotee mercy. That's how it works. It's not me. Okay, so
Ramlala Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, same as whatever said. For me also same comment, similar comment. It's wonderfully Mataji also given all given proper explanation. Is really wonderful. Is really we inspired for this thing. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Sorry for going on a bit too long. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you so much. So Usha Mataji, would you please be kind enough to do the Shingadev prayers? Maybe Usha
Before we go to the Nasima prayers, shall we all unmute and do loud Hari Bols to Radha Sevika Mataji? Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
So Usha Mataji, if you'd be kind enough. Does anyone else want to join Usha Mataji? I've just put the Nashingadev prayers on.
Okay. So let's start, Mataji.
Yes, please, Mataji. I'm just putting them on, yeah. Namaste.
प्रह्लादलादायिनी
Dadaine.
हिरण्यकशिपुवक्षः
Hiranyakashipu
श्रीलाटङ्कानकालाये इतो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंहो
Ito Narasimho Parado Narsim
यतो यतो यमिततो नरसिंहो
Yato Yato Yamitado Narasimha
बहिर्नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो
Bahi Narasimho Hridaye Narasimho
नरसिंहो पदं शरणं प्रपदे
Narasimhanadim Sharana Prabhati
तव करकमलवरे अद्भुतशृङ्गार दलिता कशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवदेवता हरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
Tavagara Kamalavare Atbuda Sringa Dalidadanyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadlida Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadi Sahare Jai Jagadi Sahare Jai Jagadi Sahare
इतवता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
केशवचीदा नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
Jaya
जय
Jaya Gurudev
गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव
नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य हरि
नित्य गौर
Nitya
हरि बोल Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
विष्णु सिंहदेव भगवान की
Jai.
Jai.
प्रहलाद महाराज की
Jai.
Jai.
जगद्गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की
Jai.
Jai.
जय गौ प्रेमानंदे
Hari
Hari
Hari.
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Usha Mataji so beautifully sang. Asha Mataji, thank you. So yeah, with that, we have got a short night, and hope everybody will join for the chanting in the morning. So Vanchakalpa Tarobhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha
Sindhubhyascha
Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Guru Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.
we ball 5:15 tomorrow for chanting.
Radha Shekha Mataji ki Jai.
Thank you very much,
Ki
Mataji.
Jai.
Jai.
Bol